In this lesson, we're going to take a look at snapshots and how we can successfully use them. We'll also take a look at some of the disadvantages of snapshots and potential issues that they can cause. But first and foremost, what is a snapshot? Well, a snapshot is a point-in-time picture of a virtual machine. So here we see a virtual machine that's running. And let's say we need to perform some sort of update on the guest operating system of this virtual machine. Now, because the VM is powered on, there's going to be information stored in memory. And there's also data stored on the virtual disk. And when we take a snapshot, a new file is going to be created called a VMSN file. And the current contents of memory are going to be copied into this VMSN file. So now we have half of our point-in-time picture, that is our snapshot. We have the contents of memory captured. The other half of our point-in-time picture is going to be the contents of our virtual disk. So when we take our snapshot, the virtual disk is going to be marked as read-only. We're not going to be able to write any data to that virtual disk anymore. That ensures that no changes can be made to that data, and it's going to be preserved exactly as it was when you took that snapshot. So because the original disk is now locked, a new disk is created called a delta.vmdk. And remember, this is a running virtual machine. So since the original disk is now locked and is now read-only, we need somewhere to write our changes to, and that's the purpose of the delta disk. That's where all live writes of data are going to occur from now on. So now we have both of the components of our snapshot. We have the contents of memory, and we've captured the state of the virtual disk exactly as it is. And now we go ahead and we perform our software upgrade on this virtual machine, whatever kind of guest operating system task that we needed to do. And maybe it doesn't go well. Maybe our patch introduces some problems, and we decide we need to now revert to the snapshot that we've taken. When you decide to revert to a snapshot that you've taken, what happens is the contents of memory are copied from the VMSN file back into the running virtual machine. So now the contents of memory are the same as when you took that snapshot. The delta.vmdk is discarded, and the original virtual disk is no longer marked as read-only. And now we've gotten back to exactly where we were when we took that snapshot of our virtual machine. However, snapshots are not without their limitations. For example, let's go back to that same example VM we were talking about. Again, this virtual machine is running. It has a single virtual disk. And when we take our snapshots, again, the contents of memory are captured in our VMSN file. Our virtual disk is marked as read-only. The delta.vmdk is created. And this is where all of our live writes of data occur moving forward. What do you think will happen if we leave that snapshot in place for a few weeks or a few months? That delta.vmdk file is going to grow and grow and grow. And eventually we may decide that we don't need this snapshot anymore. Let's go with our example of a virtual machine needing a software upgrade. 3 months later, it's very unlikely that we're going to have to revert from that change that we made. So eventually, it's going to come time to delete this snapshot. But we can't just throw away all of the data that has happened since we took that snapshot. So it needs to be copied back to the original VMDK. So as we delete the snapshot, the VMSN file is no longer needed. Right? There's no reason to hang on to the contents of memory that were present when we took that snapshot. So the VMSN file is purged. And the original VMDK is unlocked, and now we can write to the original VMDK again. And all of the changes that have occurred since we took that snapshot need to be committed back to that original VMDK. This is something that happens when you delete a snapshot, and it can be very time consuming, and you can't perform any power operations on the virtual machine while it's happening. So what do we take away from all of this? Well, at the most basic level, a snapshot is a point-in-time picture of a virtual machine. It captures the state of memory and the state of virtual disks. However, it is not a backup, and it should not be retained long term. Because of the fact that the original VMDK is marked read-only, and all of our new changes are going to go to that delta.vmdk, it can be very intensive when you decide to delete that snapshot, and the contents of the delta.vmdk need to be committed back to the original disk. So the use case for our snapshots is short-term needs, creating a fallback point when we're making a change or something along those lines. Now that we've learned some of the concepts related to snapshots, let's take some time to actually take a snapshot and see how that works. So here we see the home screen of the vSphere web client, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the VMs and Templates menu. And under the VMs and Templates menu, I'll be able to see all of my virtual machines. So I'm going to expand this little window right here, and here we see 3 Linux virtual machines. I'm going to pick this virtual machine right here, and I'm going to right-click it, and once I right-click it, it's going to open up this menu, and one of the items on the menu is a Snapshots menu. And I'm going to take a snapshot of this virtual machine. And we want to give it a nice descriptive name. I'm going to say Tuesday, 3 p.m. pre-upgrade. So maybe we're about to perform some sort of software upgrade on this virtual machine. This is my snapshot that I'm taking before that upgrade, so I can get back to it if I need to. And I am choosing to snapshot the virtual machine's memory. If you don't select that option, if you deselect it, then we'll only capture the contents of disk. Memory will not be captured. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK here, and I'm going to let my snapshot complete. And we can see work in progress is now 0. That task is completed. So I'm going to right-click this virtual machine one more time and go to the Snapshots menu. And now we can use our Manage Snapshots option, right, to see the snapshots that we've taken. Right. So here's the initial state of our virtual machine. Then we took a snapshot, and now we are here. Right. So now things have changed since we've taken our snapshot. The virtual machine continues to run, and as things change, they're written to that delta.vmdk disk. If I want to, I can go back to the way that things were when I took that snapshot by clicking on the snapshot and choosing Revert to. And when I hit yes here, it is going to bring my virtual machine back to that state that it was in when I took that snapshot. Right, and that just finished. That's what's happening right now. The one final task that we talked about with snapshots is the ability to delete a snapshot. Right? And we don't want to leave these snapshots out here for too long. So if my upgrade went successfully and I decide that I don't need this snapshot anymore, I'm just going to click on it and choose delete. And at that point, the snapshot's going to be destroyed, the VMSN file will be purged, and everything in that delta.vmdk file is going to be pushed back into the original VMDK file.